Last Sunday, we began looking at the statements that Jesus made about himself in John's Gospel. He said, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." This week, we are thinking about Jesus saying, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Like last week, this is another confusing statement. When we wake up in the morning and see the sunlight shining on the world outside, we know that the light comes from the sun, our local star, shining brightly 93 million miles away. That's about 150 million kilometers in new money. It takes light 8 minutes to reach here from the sun. The sunlight that we see coming from the sun is not what Jesus means when he says, "I am the light of the world." Jesus is speaking about the light of discovery, of understanding, which replaces the darkness of ignorance and evil that exists in his absence. Light is good, evil is dark. Jesus is the light of the world because he shows us perfect goodness. His light dispels the darkness of evil because Satan, the adversary of God, cannot stand the light. He has to flee from it, just like darkness flees from a candle flame at the speed of light. In Luke's Gospel, chapter 10, Jesus sends out 70 of his disciples in pairs to the towns and villages where he is going to go next. They return with joy, saying, "Lord, in your name, even the demons submit to us." Jesus replied, "I watched Satan fall from heaven like a flash of lightning. See, I have given you authority to tread on snakes and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing will hurt you." That phrase, "flash of lightning," brings to mind the ancient imagery of God throwing lightning bolts. A flash of lightning is the brightest natural light on the earth. Satan was expelled from heaven at the speed of light. The Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke all tell us of the journey that Jesus made to the top of a mountain, taking with him his 3 closest disciples, Peter, James, and John. And Matthew tells us that the face of Jesus shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Mark describes Jesus' clothes as dazzling white, such as no one on earth could bleach them. And Luke says that Jesus' clothes were brighter than a flash of lightning. Jesus met with Elijah and Moses, and they were surrounded by a bright cloud of God's glory. The Jewish Pharisees rejected Jesus' description of himself as the light of the world. But Jesus declared that it is valid because he knows where he came from and where he is going, but the Pharisees do not. They judge him by human standards, according to the flesh, but Jesus judges no one. Jesus reminds them that Jewish law requires only 2 witnesses to validate a statement. Jesus declares that his Father testifies on his behalf, meaning God, his Father. The Pharisees ask, "Where is your Father?" And that is an interesting question because they are the religious enthusiasts of the Jewish religion. Jesus speaks of God, and they don't recognize that, and ask, "Where is God?" And they don't know God, nor how to find him. Jesus replies, "You know neither me nor the Father, nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also." John comments that Jesus said this while teaching in the temple, yet he wasn't arrested. That expression, "If you knew me, you would know my Father also," is a declaration that at least God is in him, and even that Jesus is God. It was blasphemy, or else it was true. In John chapter 14, another of Jesus' disciples, Philip, asks Jesus, Lord, show us the Father, and we will be satisfied. Jesus replies, Have I been with you all this time, Philip, and you still do not know me? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. Jesus doesn't just journey with us through the dark world around us. He is the light that shows us the way. He dispels the evil that threatens to divert and stop us, and he gives us authority over that evil. Jesus shows us the way to go, but it is up to us to look for that way, and when we find it, to walk in that way, in the power and authority of Jesus himself. He will be with us. In John chapter 9, Jesus meets a man who had been blind from birth. His disciples asked Jesus, Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus said, Neither. The man's blindness is an opportunity for God's work to be revealed in him. We must do God's work while it is still day, because night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Finally, remember when Moses first met God in the burning bush, which was not consumed. The bush was blazing with the glory of God, and Moses came over to see why it was not burned up. Moses asked God, Who shall I say that you are? What is your name? And God replies, I am is who I am. In Greek, it is the same words that Jesus uses to begin his statement, I am the light of the world. Do not despair. Do not be afraid. Jesus is the light of the world, and he is our light, who illuminates our path, who directs our ways, who journeys with us even through the darkest valley. Jesus is light, and whoever follows him will never walk in darkness. Search out the light of Jesus, walk in his ways, and follow him. Amen.